Hey everybody, Spy4360 here. I'm gonna be giving a master class to low rank, which feels kind of redundant, but I've heard that some people were struggling with this game. So I'm just gonna talk about everything that you need to know in the least spoilery way possible. Before we get into the video, I stream bi-daily, links above and also in the description below. And then if you'd like to play with me or people in my Discord and stuff, just join the Discord, or we've got a squad currently with 0 people in it, but here's the squad. It's Spy4360's Hype Squad, and here's the code. Yeah. So if you'd like to join, we'll have a private session up, and we can just bang out quests if you guys need them. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so right off the bat, the first thing that's going to help a lot of people is actually going through the settings, which, I get it, it's lame, it's boring, but there's a couple settings that you should change. I think push to talk is off by default, so I'd turn that on if you've got a keyboard and mouse. But let me actually switch this. I like seeing the decimals because I want to see like the rounding and shit. But I saw a video by Gaijin Hunter talking about the secret controls. You want to set the secret controls, the secret manual controls, on page 2 of your settings, on the control settings, to type 2. Basically, when you're on your secret and you're moving around, if you let go of directional inputs, your secret will keep moving. So if you switch it to type 2, once you stop doing an input, he stops, or she stops. I don't know what your bird is. And then there's also some other ones that you should turn off. There's one that auto locks on. Oh, you also want to turn off auto explore for secret. This is in game settings, page 3. You want to turn off secret auto explore. This is also where the head armor visibility is, so if you want to hide your armor, your head armor, the whole time, that's cool. And then there's also Hunting Horn Buttons Guide, if you'd like that. Yeah, so that's pretty good. There's some other important ones that... Oh yeah, disable auto sheath. This is going to help you a lot with waking up sleeping targets. Let me actually demonstrate that really quick. I almost opened my my world map, but that has spoilers. So yeah, let's go into the training area really quick. So if there's a monster that's asleep and you're a greatsword user, you might have already struggled with this, but getting your spacing down is kind of a bitch. Also, if you have auto sheath on, just not attacking for 10 seconds automatically sheaths your weapon. So this fixes that. You can just pull out your weapon once we get out of the cutscene, and you're good. It'll stay like that. I can even go into the options, and I won't sheath my weapon. Where's that other one? I think it's in game. This other one is pretty important. Might be in camera. Yeah, it's in camera. Shit, isn't in camera? Hold on, I'm gonna pause the recording. Yeah, okay, I found it. It's focus camera. It's your camera settings, page 2 out of 4. It's on the bottom. Just disable that. Basically, when you're... Let me enable it so I can show you what's going on, because you can lock onto this guy. If you're trying to pull the camera away when you're locked on, it like drags it back onto this guy. So like, say you're trying to predictively like hit him or something when he's moving. This is more like annoying with like flying targets, you know? But I hate this shit. Turn that off. I guarantee you're gonna have a better time when you turn that off. So yeah, you can be locked onto this guy and do 360s and shit. Sorry, that might be a little bit disorienting. But yeah, you can turn your camera. That's pretty much it for the settings. The rest of this is kind of up to user discretion. So I'll let you guys go through all of this. Oh, also, mandatory. Feline language. Make it feline language. Don't use use set voice type. I swear to God. Just make the cat go, meow, meow. Okay. Yeah, that's it for the settings. Alright, so next up, we're going to talk about probably the most important step of literally every single hunt. And that's your preparation. It's kind of a bitch unless you set up, I don't know the name of it. Loadouts, yeah. You can set up loadouts for your radial menu and your items. Also your armor, which is going to help. But for the most part, what you're just going to need to do is your items. What I did to build this monstrosity is I kind of literally just started with potions and mega potions. And then I picked up anything that I needed. As you can see, I don't use antidotes, because antidotes are kind of a trap. Pretty much from the beginning of the game, you can get herbal medicine, which is just an instant use antidote. You don't have to wait for the full drink to happen for you to get rid of poison. It's really good, and it also heals you a little bit. So you kind of heal back all the damage that you took from the poison anyways. Maybe a little bit more if you're fast. But yeah, I would just build upon your item loadout until it gets like this. This is a very solid setup. I wouldn't worry about bombs until you get mega barrel bombs, because it's just like a waste of time and resources to use the smaller bombs. And then if you want to cut time off of all of your hunts, make sure you get traps. To save you some frustration, when you're doing hunts and it says slay this target instead of hunt this target, you can't cap them. So don't waste your traps. That being said, traps and tranks are incredibly easy to get. I made a guide, which I'm putting in the card, top left, if you'd like to see where to get those materials. But I'm also going to be telling you how to find any materials that you want and some gathering tips in a little bit. And yeah, the rest of your inventory is kind of just up to discretion, but I'd say bring the drugs. This is something that's like later in the game, but once you get this, it is such a big increase to your damage. Let me actually pause the recording really quick so I can show you something. Alright, so I paused the recording so I could switch my armor without showing any spoilers, just because I've got a lot of armor sets, and they look really cool, and I don't want to show that off without you guys seeing them. But I've got a bone axe. You can actually see my stats. I've got 118 attack. It's because I've got a thing in my inventory that gives me attack. I forgot to store that. But by the time you get all of these, the demon drug, the might seed, and the demon powder, I was using a weapon with 130 damage. Oh, also, just so the game is more readable, one more options. I'm sorry. It's actually in game. Shit. Yeah, right here. Weapon attack power display. Set this to display without coefficient. There's this weird thing where every single weapon has like a higher attack value based on the weapon, just for like an arbitrary reason. They're like, great sword hits hard, so let's give it more numbers, even though every single weapon has the same number. If you make an iron axe, or an iron switch axe and an iron greatsword, they both have 100 damage, right? So if you do display without coefficient, it just shows you your damage. Or like your regular numbers. Because you have what's called a true raw, which is this number right here. And this goes up when you take demon drugs. So if you drink a demon drug, this lasts your entire hunt. You can see it in the top left above my HP bar. I've got like a sword with a little demon drug, right? And my raw went up by 5, which is pretty good. And then demon powder and might seeds both last 3 minutes. You want to pop those together. And again, top left, you can see the buff bar. But now we're at 143. So we went up 25. So if we had 130 damage, which is what I had when I got these buffs, you'd go up to 155, which is like a 20% increase in damage, a little bit less than that. But that's fucking insane. That means just by using these items, you are killing things 20% faster. And it gets worse the longer you go into the game. But honestly, it's still like a pretty sizable increase. Even in like the end of like Monster Hunter World, it still shaves off like a minute if everybody is using these items for like optimal speedruns. So make sure once you get the access to these items, you're using them 24/7. Demon drugs, demon powder, and might seeds. I have a short tutorial on how to get might seeds and tranks. Again, card top left. But that's pretty much it for these. One more thing. You want to make loadouts. It's a really easy system. Basically, you open your item pouch, and then it says at the bottom, on mouse and keyboard, it's shift. But they give you like a default one, which is pretty ass, and then this one, which is like... this is too much even for me. Half of this shit is like useless. Oh, actually, we can talk about this. So these are armor pills and then armor skin. This is actually available at the beginning of the game. And again, this gives 5 armor for the whole hunt if you make one of these. So if you're playing like a support class, or you get like armor, or you just want armor because like a certain fight is giving you trouble, this is going to help a lot. But yeah, I would just go in here and then delete these, honestly. And then have like your main one. And this is my gathering set. As you can see, there's no items in it. This is really useful for when like you just need to just clear out your inventory and then go out into the wild. Because if your inventory fills up with items and then you pick up another item, it'll prompt you every single time. Do you want to replace an item to get put this new one into your inventory? And it's really annoying. So just make a set that's like empty. Yeah. Your life will be a lot easier. And now you're like, navigating the item wheel is a mess. There's a way to fix that too. You go to customize radial menu. I have F1 through F8 because I'm on a mouse and keyboard, but there's a radial menu for controller, which is pretty much this, but it's just like a wheel, you know? So you press a thing and then you just direction the wheel to choose whatever item you want to use. But this is incredibly useful. If you need to use any of those items, you don't need to search through your scroll bar. You literally just like press the buttons, right? So you got 1 through equals, and you have your radial menu. There's like too much shit on here. Like I've got my entire inventory on this wheel, and I'm waiting for 6 for ancient potions, but yeah, this is like almost too many items. But you can put literally anything on here. If you're using a gun or a bow and you run out of ammo, you can actually keep the crafts for your ammo in your inventory, and you can set crafting to your radial menu, which is nuts. So you can essentially like triple how much ammo you're bringing just by having the crafts just on you, right? And again, if you go to managed loadouts, you can save your loadouts. So if you just make something rudimentary, you can just build upon this until the end of the game. And it's great. Yeah. All right. And finally, we're just going to talk about meals. Your meal lasts a very long time. You can see it on the right side of the screen, right? Actually, I kind of need a duck. But yeah, it's really good. This is 2 true raw, so the 2 is kind of redundant, right? But you'll max out your stamina and your health for the entire duration of having your food up. And this like pauses in between hunts. It's not even like, since I'm sitting in a tent, it's paused. It's like you have this for 50 minutes. So it's incredibly potent. We're going to talk about how to make this last the longest amount of time. I would just always do meat, just because damage make hunts go faster. And also, 4 defense is literally nothing. Like, you put on like a piece of chainmail, and you have 4 defense, you know? Veggies are okay, because elemental defense, this adds elemental defense to everything, but again, meat is better. So when you select meat, you can see in the top right that the effect goes for 30 minutes. All you have to do is add literally any of these, and you'll get extra 20 minutes. And this is just additional ingredients. I have never run out of these, and I haven't farmed them, but basically, later in the game, there's people you can trade with to get these resources. And I haven't seen all of these yet, so I don't know what's good. I think this one's like fantastic. But yeah, just ignore all of these. Just pick whatever sounds good. If you yeah, it says it in the bottom right, you know. Yeah, you just pick what you like. Whatever you pick is good. You just want to make sure you're picking one so you get the extra 20 minutes. Finishing touches, actually let me choose one of these so I can do finishing touches. These are kind of very situational. And they don't add anything other than elemental resistances. Which is kind of lame. But if you want these stats, I'd use them. This one is really good because it increases gathering for some stuff. But yeah, I just ignore this. Or can I not? I mean, I'm not doing this anyways, but like, yeah. You can also make favorite meals. So if you make a custom meal, you can edit favorite meals once you put stuff in there to make that faster. But again, I've kind of just been like doing meat and like literally whatever the fuck, right? So I've never made a favorite meal just because I haven't found anything I liked. All right. And finally, we're just going to talk about armor. This is like the last thing that you need to do before you know, you head out into a hunt. So I talked about a little bit of armor in that gathering guide, but you start out the game with hope, leather, and chainmail, right? Chainmail gives you 3 geologist, which is good for bones, ores, and then any of those special like outcrops. So like there's like funny plants around, there's like crystals. It depends on the environment you're in. There's like region specific like things that you can collect that you need to max out geologist for, but they give you this armor right off the bat, so you get geologist 3. Same thing with the leather armor. You get botanist 4 from the waist, pants, the shirt, and the head, and they just give you these, right? So you can just right off the bat just start collecting things immediately and be getting stuff, unlike in World where you needed to like make a gathering set, which is cool. I like that you can just do this. There is something else. Yeah, you need a Vespoid set specifically for honey, which is also something you can kind of get immediately after you start the game. You need 3 pieces to get Honey Hunter, and there's other things that will give you this later, but Honey Hunter is really good because it gives you like 5 honey from most honey collection spots, which is nuts. But we're going to be talking about gathering in depth in a later video. I kind of wanted to just get the important gathering out of the way for that last video I did. But yeah, we're going to talk about progression through your armor trees and what you should be looking for. I speedran Monster Hunter World, so my priorities were pretty different when going through this game, but I feel like you can take the principles I used and kind of apply this to any weapon. I also only use Switch Axe, so some of the armor skills that I specifically use aren't going to be good for everybody, right? But we're just gonna go through these and then show you the good shit. I'm gonna be kind of going through tiers of this, and I'm gonna try to not spoil too much, so I'll say here's HR X, Y, and Z, you know, before we get to the armor sets, just so you don't get spoiled on stuff. But there's generally like tiers of dudes that unlock some pretty important stuff for some pretty diverse like playstyles. So I'm just gonna talk about that. Alright, so HR1, I am not sure where it ends. I think it's where you get to a different locale. But basically it starts you out with these 3 armor sets, and then you can also make Bone, which the full set gives you Marathon Runner and Stun Resistance. I'm just going to talk about the skills that you get as we're going down the list and tell you what's good and what's like a noob trap. So right off the bat, this is actually a really good defensive set because of Divine Blessing. Divine Blessing just cuts the damage you take in half if you have full Divine Blessing, which this set just gives you full Divine Blessing, right? There is a better defensive skill that we'll be talking about, which, I mean, this is just the Gathering set. Yep, it's in Chainmail. Recovery speed, let's just look at what recovery speed does. Doubles the speed at which you heal recoverable damage. So when you get hit, there's red health, and that heals over time, right? So it doubles at level 1, triples at level 2, and quadruples at level 3. And this is incredibly easy to get, even early game. If you have level 3 recovery speed, you get hit, you don't even need to heal that health back. It'll be full by the time you even like start using a potion. It's nuts. There's also an item that you can eat that you can get from this guy called Wild Jerky, which increases natural healing. So it makes it even faster. Hold up. Let me. Okay, I had to make sure it didn't show high rank. But yeah, you can. It doubles your speed of healing, and then recovery speed doubles, triples, and quadruples on top of the jerky doubling your speed, which is nuts. Coming in here, stun resistance, again, it's kind of a meme, but Marathon Runner, specifically for dual blades, is nuts, because Demon Form is affected by Marathon Runner, and I think it's also affected by Dash Juice. So this is good. And then you get this, which it's okay. Basically, this makes it so that when you kill other bugs, they don't explode, so you can actually carve them. But this is a piece for Honey Hunter. This is the first guy that you fight, and his set is pretty ass. I'm gonna be real with you. Item Prolonger is okay, but there's not really items that you can prolong yet. And then I think this is the last guy for HR1, which is the Fire Chicken. Again, this set is incredibly unremarkable, and I would just skip it. Alright, now we're going to talk about HR2. So you get Alloway. Quick Sheath is actually pretty okay. You get Tremor Resistance on these middle three. But I was using it on Switch Axe, but if you put this on a Charge Blade, or not a Charge Blade, kind of a Charge Blade, any weapon's good with Quick Sheath. And, you know, you're kind of just trying to fill slots anyways. I actually started the game with no armor, so this was the first armor that I actually started using, was the Quick Sheath stuff. It's pretty good. Water resistance, don't worry about that. Vespoid stuff is actually good if you're getting Honey Hunter. So this might be something that you want to farm if you're having trouble with, like, your mega potions. I would just get like 3 pieces of this, right? And this helps you get the Vespoid armor, just because, like, you won't kill the Vespoids, or they won't explode when you kill them. But the next guy right here is even better. These 2 pieces give paralysis resistance, which is like okay. But these last 3 pieces give recovery up, and this will make you immortal if you just make these 3 pieces. Yeah. And I think that's it. Oh no, actually, yeah, this is the last guy. Yeah. So this gives you Mushroom Mancer, which is also kind of a side grade. I don't think there's any way to use supportive capabilities, but Mushroom Mancer with a support build is nuts. Basically, this lets you digest mushrooms. Blue potions are a mega potion, so you just eat that and it works. Toadstools are jerky, so those are the, you increase your natural healing. Nitro Shrooms and Parashrooms, I forget what those do. One of those is a dash juice, so you just get dash juice immediately. So you can, like, do Lullabarina, get these 3 pieces, and then do 2 Mushroom Mancers, and you have dash juice and recovery up, right? And then I forget what the paralysis one does, but the last piece in these is insane. Mandragoras are max potions, and then Devil Blights, Devil's Blight. Oh, I think Devil's Blight is the, what's it called? Dash juice. So you might need level 3 for that. I might be talking out of my ass. I don't use Mushroom Mancer unless I'm doing support builds, but they're incredibly potent for support builds. I'd say fuck around with it if you want to. You only have to kill like a couple of Kangala for these. But if you need defense, I'd say just get like any of these that you'd like. The recovery up is nuts. And then this is the last one before we get into HR3, which is Balahara, which gives Quick Sheath again. So if you stack these with these 2, you get 3 Quick Sheath, which is nuts. And then Evade Extender 3 from these 3. which is it's pretty good. Evade Extender makes your dashes longer. It doesn't increase your iframes. So this is kind of hard to manage when you first put it on, because it's like you dodge really far and then it's hard to do damage. But there is a lot of spacing that you need to do in the late game. So I ended up making a piece of this just because on Switch Axe I really like Evade Extender. If you're using Switch Axe, Lance, and Gun Lance, Balahara gear, or Evade Extender in general, will increase the distance of your short hops, which makes them basically dodge roll distance really quick. It's nice, yeah. This is also a good one. I keep scrolling down, I'm sorry. Getting out of HR2, you go into probably the best armor up until the end of low rank, Doshagama gear. You get this is your first set bonus, and it's kind of insane. These are pretty okay. You get recovery speed, which is nice, yeah, but it's only like the ×2. And then free meal, and free meal is what I go for, which I think gives you like a 50% chance. Oh, 45%, so a little bit under 50%. Basically, every time you use an item, it just doesn't 45% of the time, which is pretty good. It makes your supplies last a lot longer. And then item prolonger it's still kind of useless just because there's nothing to item prolong other than dash juice at this point. But yeah, this set, Doshagama's Might, I was telling you that like by the time that you get Might Seeds, you only have like 130 true raw. Powerhouse 1, if you have 2 pieces of Doshagama on, if you do a clash or a offset, you get 10 true raw. And then if you do a clash or an offset with 4 pieces on, you get 25 true raw, which is fucking bananas. It's crazy. It's probably the biggest DPS increase up until the end of the game. Right? So yeah, this set is incredibly potent. I'd pick it up if you want it. Alright, and then we're getting into HR3 stuff, because I think this guy gets you into HR3. Alright, so you're in HR3. I would just grind for Doshagama gear if you're doing DPS. But if you're doing a support build, we got something coming up. Ingot is okay. It's got 2 Divine Blessing, and then Windproof, Stun Resistance, and Windproof, which is whatever. This has Flinch Free, which basically makes less attacks stagger you, including your teammates. Which is, it's okay. Komachi. This one's okay. Sleep Resistance. It's kind of only useful for like one guy, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. Rome Popolo. This is where shit gets nuts. You get wide range. So this is your support build. Items affect nearby allies with 33% of their efficiency. So if you do a Mega Potion, I think it heals for like 75. This heals for like 28 or something. Something like that. I can do math. And then Wide Range 2 just increases their efficiency. So if you're doing Mushroom Mancer, that instant Mega Potion will have... so let's look at Rompopolo. Every piece has Wide Range, right? So you can get Wide Range 5 and do like a full support set. Or you can do Wide Range 3 to get 66% efficiency. And then do a little bit of Mushroom Mancer, right? But yeah, this is a really good early game support build. Again, if you do 2 pieces of Mushromancer, I figured it out. The Mushromancer 2 gives you attack, or demon drugs, and then steel skin, or armor skin. So you can actually get that earlier. But, yeah. It's kind of your choice if you want to go full wide range, or like 3 wide range and 2 Mushromancer. You can also go, 2 wide range, and then 3 Mushromancer, for Devil's Blight, giving other people buffs, which is nuts. But yeah, after this, you get Nerscylla, which has ambush, poison resistance, bind resistance, ambush, sleep resistance, bind resistance, and then ambush. And this is kind of lame. I'd say you only get maybe 2 ambush attacks off a hunt, and this is just 15% attack. So it's poopy. Stinky. Hira Bami. This is actually a pretty good defensive set, just because it gives you full evade window, which is, it's nuts. It's crazy. Again, this is where I say that, like, I'm kind of skewed as, like, somebody who's speed ran the last game, or I'm biased. Damage is going to be much more important than defensive skills, just because fights are going to be a lot more scriptable, where basically you hit the monster a little bit, and he falls over. There's certain mechanics where, like, if you hit a monster's head, he'll fall over, or like if you hit a monster's feet, they'll fall over. Oh god, sorry. And it's kind of different monster to monster, right? So the more damage you do, the easier the hunt will be, because you can make the monster trip, and then you hit him, and then you can make him trip again right as he's getting up, and you hit him, and you make him trip right as he's getting up, and you just repeat that, right? The more damage you have, the easier you get that cycle to start. That being said, if you want to just focus on defense, this is a really good one to do. Evade window is one of the better defensive skills to have. It also comes with recovery speed, so it's got that for it. And the rest is just ice resistance. Oh, it's 2 recovery speed and then ice resistance. But yeah, it's good. And I think this is where you hit HR4, so more spoilers. Ajara Khan. Heartbreaker, Bombardier, Blast Resistance. Yeah. This is okay. This does not increase your damage, it just makes you break parts easier. It's kind of a trap. Bombardier is pretty good, because it increases the amount of damage you do with bombs. So if you want to spend a lot of money, you can just buy bombs and use these and roll them at people. It's funny. You get Bombardier 3 with these 3 pieces, the waist, the arms, and the head. It's just kind of a meme. I'd just stab the monster. I also don't think this works with any weapon, it's just bombs. Bombs? Yeah. Might work with stickies. I don't know how to use guns, I'm sorry. Oops. We went down into spoilers. Okay. Now, this is the end of low rank. So this is the final tier before you get into high rank. And most of these sets are pretty good, right? I'm just going to say you should choose one and then just go to the new high rank, right? So this is, okay, it's Jump Master. You deal 10% extra damage in the air. Oh, negates knockback during jumps. Jump Master used to give you damage, now it doesn't. Never mind. I'd skip that. It's kind of drippy, you know, it looks cute. Uthduna. This is somebody you fight before you get to the last area. Yeah, you can only make these 2 pieces until later. So you're going to have Tool Specialist, which is kind of useless. Aquatic / Oil Slit Mobility, which also is kind of useless. Except for like one fight, but I wouldn't worry about it. And then Peak Performance, which is actually pretty goated, pretty sauced with the goat. You will be able to make these other 3 pieces later on, and I made this one for a reason we'll get into later. But this piece is really good. And then we got Radao. You can only make these 2 pieces to begin with, which Latent Power is not as good as some other moves. Basically, Latent Power, you get 10% affinity, and it reduces stamina depletion by 30%. So Latent Power, it says it temporarily increases those when certain conditions are met. The conditions are 300 seconds go by, or you take 150 damage. Those are the 2 things. So, yeah, both of those aren't good. You want something with just like immediate value. Radao's Voltage is okay if you want Latent Power, but you don't want Latent Power. Okay. Constitution is pretty good. This reduces the amount of stamina you use when you're using fixed stamina, so dodge rolls. There's things that use stamina in certain weapon pools, and they use fixed staminas, like bow's dodge. This is really good for bow. Yeah, you can get these later, so you can get Constitution for a bow set. But again, Latent Power is kind of ass, so I wouldn't worry about it. And then New Udra. This is a really good set. It's Resentment and Speed Eating. Resentment. Oops. When you have red health, you have extra damage, and this is another really like crazy attack steroid. I think you can only get 3 with this. It's 1, 2, 3. So you can only get Resentment 3, which is 15. And then you get extra damage with Resentment being active. Yeah. There's a lot of guys that set you on fire. Or, you know, if you're in the place where New Udra's at, you're just taking passive damage if you don't drink a cool drink. So you can have Resentment up like 24/7 in certain situations. You just need to set yourself on fire or start bleeding. Yeah. It's a meme set. It's funny. You could do it. It's just, I don't know, the viability going later. And then Guardian Doshagama. This is pretty nuts. You get Heroics 3, which Heroics is one of the biggest attack steroids in the game. But it's 3, so you only get 5% defense, and then 5% attack, and then 100 defense when you're under 35% HP. Which, if you're eating, it's pretty easy to get, right? It's just, yeah, 5% of like 130 is like 8. Or no, it's like 6. So, there's other stuff. This also gives you Doshugama's Might. So if you're like Greatsword, this is pretty okay in a set. It also gives you Iron Skin, which, yeah, grants protection against defense down. That's alright. Oh, and Marathon Runner. So this is actually pretty good for like Lance too, because when you're shielding, this is like constant stamina drain, so this will stop that. Yeah. And I think Lance has a offset and a clash. So Lance and Greatsword would do really good with a Guardian Doshagama set. Alright. And now this is where shit gets nuts. This is where you make a couple sets if you want. We got Guardian Rathalos. Guardian Rathalos with the Rathalos weapon is fucking crazy. The Rathalos weapons just get critical element on them, and he gives you Wex, weakness exploit, and then Intimidator, which is like kind of useless. But you get 1, 2, 3 things of Wex, and then Rathalos' Flare, which we'll look at in a second. But 3 weakness exploit gives you 15% affinity, and then 10% extra on wounds. So if you hit a wound, you're getting 25% affinity, right? Anytime you see like the orange numbers, that's how you know you're hitting a weak point for your weapon. And then the Rathalos weapons themselves have 15% affinity. So if you're hitting a weak point, you have 40% affinity. I also think the Rathalos weapons has Master's Touch, which when you crit, you don't lose sharpness, which is pretty nuts. I don't know what it has for bows, like the weapons, but it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Rathalos' Flare, if you have 2 pieces, it gives you like a chance to deal extra fire damage. And then if you have the 4-piece, you have an even bigger chance to deal extra fire damage, like anytime you hit an attack, which is pretty good. This is pretty good for dual blades, and then just like any elemental weapon, or like guns if you're using fire ammo. But Wex is incredibly strong. The affinity, having crit chance seems really good, but the base crit chance, or the base crit multiplier is 25%. So if you deal 100 damage and you crit, it only does like 125. Which it's still something, you know. But there's some better things later on that we're going to talk about. Also, the Doshagama, if you do a clash, you just get 25 true raw, which is more value on average than Wex's, I'd say. And then this is my favorite set, Guardian Ebony. This gives you burst, and then bleeding resistance, and then burst, and bleeding resistance, and bleeding resistance. So you get 3 burst, and Odegaard's Power, which extends the duration of burst and grants extra attack +3 while burst is active, which is pretty good. Burst on the first hit gains a small temporary attack and elemental boost, replaced by a larger boost after the 5th hit. And then the more points into this you get, the bigger your stat boost gets at the end. It's pretty crazy. Oh, also the amount increase depends on weapon. So basically, if you're using a greatsword, you'll get a bigger increase than if you're using a dual blade, right? But on dual blades, this is fucking bananas. For basically any element, it's not, because like the Rathalos set is only for fire, but it's like really good for fire, right? This works with anything. You can do ice, fire, thunder, fucking dragon, water, anything, right? And you just need to hit 5 times, which is pretty easy for most weapons, except for greatsword. I don't think this is going to be a greatsword set, but you could probably try it. I don't know. Yeah. Zoo-woo. This is a pretty good set. It doesn't have any funny bonus, but it has max might, which max might 3 is what you get. It gives 30% affinity. So you can use these 3 pieces of max might, right? And then get 2 pieces of Doshagama, which adds up, right? Yeah, you need the legs. Yeah, so you get 2 heroic. Oh no, you get heroics and then Iron Skin, and you can get Max Might and the Dashagama 1 bonus, which is 30% affinity from Max Might and 10 True Raw after you do an offset. It's a pretty good greatsword set. I don't think anybody else can use that set. So Zhu Wu is like really situational. But basically, a lot of moves, if you dodge roll, the actual hit of the move will happen before Max Might fills up again, which is pretty cool. And then this is what I've seen like everybody use, but I think it's kind of a meme. Guardian Arkveld. It's got Flare, and then Decimator as its things, and then Blight Resistance 3 if you use the legs, and then the waist and the chest. But the first 3 give you Flare. And I was using the peak performance from this before I got this. I got the 1 Decimator, and I was using full Autogaron. But Decimator gives you it makes it ever so slightly easier to inflict wounds. Also, you get extra non-elemental damage, right? It's okay. The extra damage is good. It's just not as good as some of the other options I've already gone over. This might be good for like Greatsword again, just because you're not hitting as much, so this makes a lot more wounds a lot easier. But I feel like there's other Greatsword sets, like the Doshigama set's just going to be better. Just because you're clashing, and that's going to have much higher uptime than Flare will. Flare might actually be good for a gun. I've seen like some guns basically have a ton of weak zones just because of how rapid guns are. Yeah. But basically you want to just farm up one of these sets before you get into high rank, right? Whatever you choose from any of these endgame sets are gonna be good. They're gonna be good. I forgot to talk about finishing these sets, or finishing Uthaduna. Peak performance is also pretty good if you can keep your HP full, which Uthaduna does that, and increases defense temporarily when you're using a specialized tool, which you get a tool that increases your defense, which is funny. So you get Tool Specialist, Tool Specialist, Tool Specialist. You get 3 of them. And then I'd take the peak performance. You might just want to put this full set on if you do this, but you'll get 10 attack just when you're full HP, which is pretty solid. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the armor. I'd say weapons are pretty self-explanatory. You kind of just want to get a big number up. With the way that elemental damage works, it's not really worth it unless you're using like dual swords, sword and shield, switch axe. Longsword's okay with elemental, and then insect glaive is pretty good with elemental. Yeah, I don't know the combos for insect glaive elemental, but you want to use that. Yeah. Yeah, weapons are pretty self-explanatory. Just get the thing with the biggest damage. Yeah. Other than items, I don't think there's really much to go over. Because I feel like itemization, the settings, and then eating food and getting buffs is the biggest thing that's going to help you get out of low rank. So, I hope this video helped. If it did, leave a like, subscribe. If you guys want to see any specific content, just leave a comment. I'll make literally whatever for this game. But I'm going to be making like an extensive gathering and item, a guap guide. A guide getting that money, getting that paper, you know? So I hope you guys enjoy that when it comes out. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.